Okay, I'm going to show you about the functional life skills guided evaluation. So you will go to your guided evaluation, click new evaluation. You're going to select a student that's at least 11 years old, and then you will choose this functional life skills and transition, and then start eval. I've already created one, so I'm just going to cancel out of this and show you what it looks like. So when you go into this evaluation, this one was created to gather the information any number of ways. You can do it through direct observation, although that probably will take a long time. You probably best to do a little bit of direct observation, but then mostly to get input from the teacher and or caregiver or parent for this. And of course, you could probably get the information also by interviewing the student, just based on, the age and everything. So anyway, when you go through, you'll see there's a lot of questions on each one. It's not set up for you to have to answer all the questions, but the best way to go about getting enough data is to try to find some areas where the client is dependent, and then some areas where the client is independent, and then try to fill in some areas in the middle. So that way it has a good idea for, kind of the skill area for this specific domain or subdomain. So you can go through and, like, when I look at it and I'll think about, okay, brushes hair. Okay. And so if they were able to do that, and I'm not able to edit on this one because I'm actually looking at one that's been completed, but you can click through here. The check mark means that the question was answered, not that it was right or wrong or anything like that. But, you can go through here. You'll just hit the save the next button down here, and then you can move on to the next section. Try to complete, I would say, at about 20%, 25% of each of the questions within each one's 10% at the very minimum, and just go through so that way you can get information about as much of these as possible. And then, when you get down to the vocation and work participation, if you have a younger student, there may not be a lot of information on that, but there are some places that you could definitely answer questions. So that way you kind of start to see what that vocational and work participation may look like. The environmental factors is important, and then you will have to add in some clinical observations. So this is a good place to also put in any observations that you have, but also any feedback from anyone that you've interviewed, including caregivers or teachers. Also remember, when you are adding information here, that you have a place to put therapy notes in. So if is something specific that you want to add in that's specific to the question, that's a great place to put it in. When you're done, you'll be able to click that you want to generate the report or just to save it. So what you'll do once you're outside of that and you have saved it, you can see the status is done. Whereas if it was a guided evaluation in progress, it means it's not been marked as completed, which also means that you cannot generate a report unless the status is done. So if you have to come out and exit it, and then you want to go back in later and finish it, all you do is go back to your guided evaluations and then just click this button to return. Now, once you've completed, the status is done, you've completed the guided evaluation, you will want to go to Report Wizard and you will create a new report. You'll select that same student. Make sure that the start date includes the date that the evaluation was done. And then you'll create the full evaluation report, and then you'll just choose one of these two based on the audience that you are giving this to. So let me show you. I've already created that one, and I can show you what it looks like. So I created one for the medical insurance audience and one for the school IEP. I'll just show you that one for now. So this is all the information that was added in, and this is the write-up. Of course, you can always add in, you can edit just by typing in, then save. I would go ahead and make this final document the way you want it to be because it lives here, and then save it. But then when you want to export it to a doc, this is where you do it. Now, if you want to add this client to your caseload, you need to complete a plan of care. And when you complete a plan of care, that's where it's going to pull all this information in, plus also allow you to select goals. So for this one, and you can look at the plan of care video to see exactly how to do it, but I created an educational one for him. And so all of these were generated by looking back at the information in the evaluation. And so if you click on any of these, of course, it'll tell you like it's a short-term goal. It's more in the ADL areas, but the specific is money management. And you can click here to make any changes. You can see the baseline. Like I said, if you have goals in your bank, you can click here. If you want to add these to your goal bank, you can do that, or you can just completely add a brand new goal of whatever you want. It'll have the present level of performance or functioning, the eligibility statement, all of this. Again, each of these are editable. Billing and visits. So if I actually want to go ahead and create this, and let's say that he is going to be on my IEP on my caseload. So maybe I'm like, okay, I'm going to see him once, let's say once a month for 30 minutes. And you can say if it's direct or whatever. But when you add this in, it'll also track your visits for you. So that way, you know exactly, you know exactly where you stand on your visits. And so I'll just make sure that I've selected any of these things that are needed. I'll save changes. And then in order to see it on your session notes, you have to activate that plan of care. So if you don't activate the plan of care, it won't populate over in your session notes. So you can see that I can add something for Luke here, and nothing comes up. Let me show you what happens if I activate it. So if I go back and I'm like, I'm going to actually edit the date out a little bit, even though it really wouldn't make sense that I evaluate it. And I'm just going to save it there. And then I'm going to go ahead and activate it. Now watch what happens when I go to schedule and I want to say, okay, I've saw Luke today. Then you can see it'll say, oh, let's link the plan of care. And then now all of my goals are here. So that way I can go ahead and start documenting on these goals and, create a rich response to intervention type of data and metrics.